Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the minutes from our previous meeting of March 3rd, 2025. On our old business, we had 3186 Route 22 restaurant. We adopted a resolution to grant site plan erosion sediment control permit and architectural review board approvals. Then we had a brief discussion about Stony Brook Estates. And then under new business, we had 198 Dogtail Corner Road and 202 Dogtail Corner Road. We set a site walk for this Saturday for planning board members for that. And then we adjourned the meeting. Okay. Motion to accept the minutes. Motion made by Member Rahman, seconded by Member Palmer. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of accepting the minutes say aye.
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 Any opposed say no.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear who motion.
That motion passes 6-0 with one absence. Okay, new business, Camp Rama Phyla lot line change. So just with the technical difficulties we have, I can bring it up on the screen here for the board members, but I can't project it onto the screen there.
Oh,
so-
they all have it in their folders,
Yes.
the agendas.
All right, so if anyone representing Camp Rama Phyla would like to come to the podium, please do so.
Hi, I'm Chad Munier. I'm going to represent Camp Rama for the Phyla lot line change.
Okay. All right, so if you just briefly tell us why this lot line change is occurring?
So, from my understanding, it goes back to a court order mandating that they give 4.2 acres of the lot that Camp Rama owns to the neighbor, Mr. Phyla. There's some requirements that the court stipulated that it has to fulfill. As far as we know, it meets them reasonably at this time. There might be some changes in the future depending on more court orders, but that's the gist.
Okay. I saw in there that there were some easements that go away with the passing of the current owners of the Phyla property.
Which easements were those?
The easement to access the property when it's not being used by Camp Rama. Usually we put easements on our documents, but if they're going to not exist forever, I don't think maybe we'd have a note.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it was an easement. They seemed like license agreements. Some of them they could
Okay.
do. That Camp Rama could take them away at any time. The rights of the Phylas to go and enter on the property and leave.
This is specific to the court orders. So
Mm-hmm.
there were several.
He needs to be at the podium. So you just have to go to the thing. I only bring it up because typically we put easements on, or whatever, onto the map. So
They should-
You could explain.
If
Okay.
they are in fact easements, they should be notes added. There should be notes
Yep.
added to the subdivision plat.
So Mr. Phyla has one easement through the camp property, and that's to access his dam. Typically, it's one direction. You would enter down Ramah Road through Facilities Way, and then to the location of his dam.
So if that's not referenced on the plat, it should be.
It's a separate piece of property altogether.
Does it go through your property?
This easement?
Yeah.
This easement does. This is the camp property itself. The property that we're talking about in terms of the lot line adjustment is Cedar Dell Farm, which is a complete separate piece of property.
Separate tax parcel.
Yes.
Okay. So does he have any easements on the property we're talking about?
He does not have an easement on our land, so to speak, but he owns the land adjacent to it.
I got that. So you're conveying land back and forth, but we read the court order,
Okay?
which is why the chairman has raised the question, because the court order says that there are certain things he has the right to do, and it's unclear whether those rights run with the land or whether they are specific to only the phylas.
They are specific to only the filers, but more specific to the camp property itself, and not to the Cedar Dell property.
So relevant to this tax parcel is what they're talking about, not the other tax parcels.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, if you guys could just clean that up and identify what is relevant to
Okay.
the parcel that's before the planning board, before the next meeting, it'd be helpful.
Okay.
Okay, and I think the only other issue was about, is there any concern about wells or septics maybe being on one side of a property line or the other because of this?
There's a note on the map stating no wells on there.
No, not where this property is. no.
Okay, so no wells in the area?
In the area of this,
Okay.
of this
Obviously,
adjustment.
there's probably, there's got to be wells on the,
Wells on the,
property.
yep, on the land itself, but not near the adjustment.
okay.
Now, when you're saying no wells on the site, we're talking about the entire 2 parcels, not just the 4.2 acres.
Correct. So Chad has
So
it here.
there's a well for your property where the house is, right?
That's right, yeah.
But there's none on the surrounding property anywhere, is there?
So the way I understand this is 2 parcels, right? So this is a parcel here, and then there's the wooded parcel.
So is there
So
anything
there's
on the
nothing
wooded?
in the wooded parcel.
That's right, okay. Okay.
I think you need to focus on, for this application, it's a subdivision with these 2 tax grid numbers. So the questions are relevant to these 2 tax grid numbers.
Okay,
So when you say no wells, it's not just the 4.2 acres, it's the entire 2, Lot 1 and Lot 2. Are there any wells, easements, septics
yep.
on either Lot 1 or Lot 2, regardless of the 4.2 acres? If there are, they have to be shown. If they're not,
Okay. Yeah, we could-
Yeah, there shouldn't be any.
there isn't anything, no,
It's all
not at all.
complete woods.
Yep, Philo's is wooded and ours is wooded as well.
Okay. Are there any current structures on these properties?
No.
Oh, that explains, then no wells or septics. Okay. Are any other questions? Member Villano?
No.
Member Vermont?
No.
Member Lorbertier? Member Palmer? Member Williams? No, okay.
I had one more housekeeping question. When we first received the application, it hadn't been signed by the phylas. Have we received the letter of authorization yet?
No, we have not.
So
We can't.
we do need something from them in order to proceed with the application.
Okay.
Because we believe you that they're on board, but we need a document saying, I'm on board.
Well, it's unclear if he's really on board with how we have it as.
So,
So that's why I'm saying it.
that's why we need a document.
Yeah. He might not cooperate with it right at this second.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it for me.
The the only other thing that I have was that an agricultural data statement wasn't submitted, but if the board wants to waive that, since they're not developing anything,
At this time.
yeah.
is that needed for a non-real estate?
It's on the checklist, so,
Oh, okay.
but, you know,
Okay.
I don't think, Agirof's not gonna recommend that it's,
Okay.
I just had some, and I sent it to the surveyor already, some survey technical questions, notes to be addressed as the subdivision moves forward. It's basically on the standards that are required for a subdivision to make it legal and meet the standards. So you need to go through them. The board has, I've submitted to the board.
Okay.
So
And you submitted that to Mr.?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. So I guess just, I would think next steps here are, we would further consider this once we have a document from Mr. Fila saying, yes, I'd like you to further consider this, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
We do need to have a hearing at some point,
sure.
and it's type 2, so we don't have to do any seeker circulation. But, I mean, we could classify it as type 2, but I'm hesitant to do that tonight, because if, Oop, you okay? If the neighbor's not on board, then we might have something different.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No?
No? All right, thank you very much.
All right. Okay.
Okay, next is Double JK Ranch. Please come to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For your record, my name is Rich Williams. I'm with Insight Engineering, the site's civil engineers for Double JK Ranch, and with me this evening is Rob Malillo, another consultant for the ranch. I see the projectors down.
Yes.
If the board would like, I do have boards that I can bring out, but I understand you have probably everything in front of you anyway.
Yeah, I'm bringing it all up now.
Okay.
Sorry, what was the name of the other person?
Rob Malillo.
Rob Malillo. M-E-L-I-L-L-O. Thank you. And you're with Double JK?
Okay, so we have your 23-page memo. We have a memo from AKRF. We have a memo from Berger Engineering. And within your memo includes the maps. And
Correct.
so where would you like us to start?
So essentially, yes, we're before you this evening seeking renewal of an expired site plan. On October of 2021, this board had approved a site plan, a special use permit, and an erosion and sediment control permit to permit a bird hunting operation at the site. The site's 241.2 acres and is currently zoned in the RU and RC property. We also do, and as noted in the AKRF memo, have a Class B license from the New York State DEC to operating a shooting preserve, and as they noted, for friends and family. Your last special use permit and site plan approval contemplated 12 hunters being permitted to hunt at a time. We have 8 fields on the property, and this is, this club it's not a wide-used commercial club. It really is select in membership, a small-scale operation, and that's what they enjoy. I do know that there is a history with this town and the property. I can tell you that in my short time with the owner, his charge to me is to seek renewal of the previous approvals, which he let lapse due to COVID. We have already filed with the Department of Health, which is one of the conditions of the previous approval. We've already received 1 round of comments. They were all very minor and readily addressable. We should have the resubmission back to the Health Department next week. Relative to the comments from Mr. Berger and AKRF, we've reviewed those. We believe them all to be readily addressable and are willing to update the plans for the next submission. And I think, as noted in the AKRF memo, our next steps with your board is I think you have to do a referral to the Dutchess County under 239M. I also know that we ultimately need a public hearing, but I certainly want to hear from the board and answer any questions you have.
Is there anything that's changed from when we last gave approval that
It was,
your client lapsed?
other than pretty much the title block on the plans, we've updated the site plans with current aerial information, and essentially are seeking the same approval as last time.
Okay, so no change to buildings involved with this.
One of the
application?
things noted in AKRF's memo, which is post my involvement, but in between your previous approval and this, is demolition and construction did begin on one of the buildings on site. It was a barn structure which was originally, which has been on the property for a very long time. It was going to be used as a warming place for hunters. Part of that structure was demolished to create additional garage space for some of the agricultural activities. It was done without a building permit. Stop work orders were issued. Rob and another co-consultant have been working with the building department. Right now the structure is weather tight, but all construction has ceased. And our understanding is if we work through this process with the planning board, ultimately they'll be able to get a building permit for the work that was started.
Okay, so when I asked if there were any changes, there was a change
That's
in the
a fair
building.
point.
Okay. All right, have there been any changes to the ponds on the site?
My first involvement was on the northern property line. There was an existing stream that came through. It was expanded into a pond that's shown on the current aerial. That's one of the reasons we updated the aerial.
Just for the board, since you can't point to anything up there, north would be to your left, what we're looking at. And so where would we, is it the pond, is it the pond that's mostly to the left and kind of in the middle of the page?
So if you're looking at the first sheet on our plan,
I'm looking at the second sheet, the first
Okay.
sheet.
if you're looking, we can work off the second. I just wanted to,
Yeah, the second sheet has a pond that the first sheet doesn't have. I think this is just farther out.
if you see the text that says no shooting area 500 feet,
That's in the second sheet,
Yep,
right? With the
correct.
It's the curves, and that's, yeah, we approved signs that would go up.
correct.
Okay.
Under the word area,
Let me just
you-
zoom in a little bit. No shooting sign, 150 feet. No shooting area, 500 feet.
and
Under which now?
would you like me just to point to a screen, just walk up real quick and point, just so there's no confusion as to where I'm talking about? Is that helpful?
Okay, so I think I see the pond here. This other pond, I think, is off property.
The pond is on the double JK property.
Right.
There is a label for no shooting area 500 feet that is due north of the property that is now or formerly Calaboro and Couture. So if you go, and that's kind of why I directed you to sheet one initially. If you go to the property that's now or formerly Calaboro, and if somebody knows that I'm saying that wrong, please correct me.
It's probably Calabro.
Okay. Calabro. Then to the left of the PL symbol, you will see three small brown circles or dots.
All right, I think I had it on the correct sheet first. Member Williams, would you mind if he looks at your screen? Okay, go ahead. So you know. All right. Oh, okay. I think we're just not zoomed in enough. Okay, so no shooting area, 500 feet.
So my
There's a
understanding,
pond north of that to the left on the page.
those three cells were excavated. A neighbor had filed a complaint indicating that water was protruding through the rock. We met on site with Mr. Berger, filed an erosion sediment control permit for the work, and have approval.
Okay. Okay. All right, so if you could just please restate what you're looking for this evening.
Okay. So I think tonight, what the actions the board could take if you were willing would be to do the 239M referral. Also, our next step in the process would be for a public hearing to be scheduled. And then I did note that AKRF did ask for an increase in escrow.
All right, I don't have any other questions or comments at this time. Member Williams? Member Palmer? Member Overdeer? Member Valano?
No, not at this time.
You? Would like to go first here?
Sure. So the applicant has reapplied for site plan and special use permit. If there are no changes between what the board reviewed back in 2021, when you did a pretty extensive review with the neighbors coming out, and now you could consider reaffirming your seeker negative declaration. We want to make sure that the applicant is incorporating all of the prior comments and conditions that you've placed on the approval. There was no clay shooting, there was a requirement for signage. I believe they've gone through and updated their plans to include all of those conditions. We do have a resolution ready for you to reaffirm seeker if you're ready for that step tonight.
Okay.
It also needs to go back to county planning. But if there are no other changes, I mean, we spent a lot of time reviewing and discussing already.
Okay. Thank you. Let's go to just Engineer Berger next. So are there other changes that have occurred on this site?
No, I think that's, the pond was just the chapter 65 erosion control. And just, other than that, everything pretty much the same.
Okay.
My comments were just to develop the plans further with some erosion control around the septic. The last approval, it did not have a final, one of the conditions was develop the plan with the health department approval, which was
Right.
never done.
Right.
So we don't have a plan to refer back to, and they're working on that now. So that would be the only thing, to have the plan developed further to show not just the subsurface sewage, but erosion control needed to construct it as well.
Okay. All right.
AKRF just has a couple of notes that need to be added to the plan, and then kind of revision to the plan showing what is actually existing building-wise and what's been demolished. Kind of makes it look like it's all one building. So just kind of accurately reflecting that. And, I mean, other than that, we note that the application is almost identical to what was previously looked at with those minor changes.
Okay, so, having heard from our consultants, any members have any comments, questions at this time? All right, so, Attorney Polidoro, you believe it's prudent for us to reaffirm secret?
I do.
Okay.
And if anything comes up at the public hearing that we were unaware of or any changed circumstances, we can always go back and reopen it.
Okay. And again, it would have to be something that would have some potentially adverse impact on the environment, not
Correct.
anything that, no, not just that anything has changed.
Right. I mean, if it turns out that there was an endangered species discovered nearby that we didn't know about previously,
Right.
something significant,
Right.
we could reopen.
Okay. All right. Okay, so, I'll need a motion to refer this application to Dutchess County Planning. Motion made by Member Valado, second by Member Palmer.
So,
Discussion?
I was going to say, we have a resolution.
Oh, I
The
didn't.
resolution.
Was it there? Sorry, I didn't see. All I see is this resolution for the reaffirming.
Yeah, and it includes at the end,
Oh, okay, I didn't see it as part of the title, so.
it's in the, it should be in the title.
It is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not seeing things today. All right, so, never mind that motion. Resolution to affirm secret determination of significance and refer the project to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development. Whereas October 18, 2021, the planning board granted the applicant Double JK Ranch LLC conditional approval of a site plan, special use permit, and erosion sediment control permit to legalize an existing hunting club, 3.5 acre farm pond on property identified as 39 Northeast Mountain Road in Dover Plains, tax ID 7163-00-380110 in the RC and RU districts, collectively known as the project. And whereas approval of the site plan was subject to 3 conditions, and whereas the applicant did not timely complete the conditions of site plan approval and site plan and special use permit approval have expired pursuant to section 145-68E subsection 1, which states that, quote, "Site plan approval shall expire if the applicant fails to obtain the necessary building permits or fails to comply with the conditions of the site plan approval within 18 months of its issuance, or if the special permit with which it is associated expires," end quote. And whereas the applicant has reapplied for approval of the site plan and special use permit, and whereas the project was previously depicted on a site plan prepared by CT Mail Associates, C-101, overall site plan, dated July 1, 2021, C-102, hunting fields and no shooting area, revised September 23, 2021, C-103, parking, water, and sewer plan, revised August 8, 2021, C-104, adjacent hunt clubs and property owners map, dated July 1, 2021, and C-105, adjacent agricultural land map, dated July 1, 2021, and is now depicted on a site plan entitled, quote, "Double JK Ranch," end quote, prepared by Insight Engineering, dated February 12, 2025, sheets OP-1, SP-1, SP-2, EB-1, and EB-2, collectively known as the site plan set. And whereas recreational business uses are permitted in the RC and RU district subject to issuance of a special use permit and site plan approval, and whereas on July 19, 2021, the planning board classified the project as an unlisted action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SECRA, and whereas on October 18, 2021, the planning board adopted a negative declaration for the project, finding that the project as proposed will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. And whereas the only change in the project since its original approval in 2021 is the partial demolition of the east side of an existing structure with the area now used for storage. Now therefore be it resolved
Yes.
that the planning board hereby reaffirms its prior determination of significance, a negative declaration originally adopted on October 18, 2021. Be it further resolved that the planning board hereby directs its secretary to refer the application to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to section 239-M of the General Municipal Law. Okay, this resolution being offered by Member Villano, seconded by Member Palmer. Discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, resolution to reaffirm secret determination of significance and refer the project to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development. Secretary, please call the roll.
Member Williams? Member Villano?
Aye.
Member Roman?
Aye.
Member Palmer?
Aye.
Member LaRobertier?
Aye.
Member Cortine?
Aye. Okay, that resolution passes 6-0 with one absence. Additionally, we're asked to consider an increase in escrow to $5,000. Motion to increase escrow for Double JK Ranch to $5,000. Motion made by Member LaRobertier, seconded by Member Palmer. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say no. Okay, that motion passes 6-0 with one absence. All right, and then to consider a date for public hearing. All right, since we're not seeing that really, other than that building, anything is substantively changed, we believe we can move forward with a public hearing. Okay. We can't hold a public hearing on April 7th, so the next available date to hold a public hearing would be April 21st. So I'll need a motion to set a public hearing for Monday, April 21st, 2025, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the planning board can hold a public hearing for Double JK Ranch. That motion is made by
So moved.
Member Palmer, seconded by
Second.
Member Roman. Discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, all those in favor of setting a public hearing for April 21st, as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, that motion passes 6-0 with one absence. Anything further with this applicant?
Thank you very much.
Do you believe they'd be able to make the updates that they take care of?
Yeah,
That's fine.
we'll turn them right around.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything further?
No, thank you very
Okay,
much.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, next we have 42 Midfield Lane Warehouse.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ray Nelson. I'm representing the owner for this project. Looking to build a 30,000 square foot warehouse in addition, an expansion of the existing use on the same lot that happens to be in a separate zone. So been to the zoning board. They want us to come to you, I guess, to kind of work in tandem. So I guess I'm seeing this. So we're coming to you to get the ball rolling in planning board section.
Okay, so this property is located very near the northern edge of the town of Dover. Remember, as you can see the 10-mile river in the upper right. 22 would be to your left. The train line you see in the bottom right corner, going from, the Dover train station is just south of there.
Correct.
And then it goes north to Passaic. Okay. So the warehouse that's being proposed is on the east side of the property,
On
to the
the
right
east-
side of the
Correct,
document?
on the east side of the property, right
Okay.
side of the page, yep.
Okay.
It sits, there's sort of a narrowing to the lot there, and the little bridge that crosses over a
Yeah,
wet spot,
see the
and
bridge. Okay.
we're to the right of that, yeah.
All right.
There's a big flat spot there now, and that's where we're putting the building. There's some question about what are we doing to demolish the property. Sits there flat right now, the building's going to go in. There's no grade change.
Mm-hmm.
The only work would be, putting a footing in, and so,
Okay.
and a concrete slab, no doubt, on the floor of the building.
Okay. The dotted red line it says 100-foot wetland setback?
Yes, and you asked about 150 foot on the planner. Asked for about 100-foot setback from the stream. I was unaware of that. I would have put it on there. I'm going to have to shift the building just a little bit to get my 150 foot. I'm close to that now.
Okay.
I don't know that I would actually make the 150 foot, but we're close. I just got these comments like,
You can be within the 150 feet, you just can't be within the 100 feet. But we want to see the 150-foot buffer on the plans.
oh, all right, fine. I'll leave the building where it is then, fine. I'll show the 150 foot setback.
But I think it's also important to note that the site is split zone, so where they're proposing is in the HM district, the Hamlet district, whereas the current use is located in the CO district. That's why the current use is currently permitted, different zones, so this is an expansion into a new zoning district.
Right.
We've been to the zoning board. I don't really think they have an issue with a variance there, but they want us to come to you.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that shows. Do we know? You show us where that line, where would that line between the two
Oh, right where the
zones
bridge is.
be?
There's
Where the
that-
bridge is? That's
yeah,
where the line is?
That little wet strip, there's like a little
Yeah,
river
just
there.
right East of the bridge a little bit.
Oh, maybe it is, but it's right near the,
Looking to see if there's anything on here.
With the narrows.
It is on the plans, on one of the sets, sheet one.
It's on. Oh, I see it. Okay, I do see it here, just east of the bridge.
Yeah.
Right, zoning district CO, zoning district HM. Okay. All right. And the purpose for going to the zoning board was, again?
well, because we're in the building sits in Hamlet district, and we're the use is approved in the CO district, where the same lot is in, crosses two districts.
Right,
It's a use variance.
use variance. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the question you were asking.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you. So, okay, so you went to the zoning board to see if you could get the approval.
Yeah, and
the-
before they
the,
were
the,
going to give us an
variance.
approval, they wanted us to approach you as well.
Mhm.
So
Sure,
we're here.
all right.
It looks like as a part of their code, or they have that, they need, it needs to go through seeker before they can approve that use variance. And, and additionally, they wanted a report from the planning board. So that and guessing off of the minutes that were very sparse, we think that's why it was sent over here, because they want us, the planning board, to go through seeker and
Right.
also supply them with ultimately some type of report.
Okay. Just, all right, I don't have any other comments at this time, other than, I think we should, before the end of this, set a site walk. So, I think most members of the planning board have probably not been on the site, so.
No, I think I know where the entrance
It's kind of back there, buried in the,
Yeah.
off the road.
Mhm.
No wonder.
So,
You want to pick a date that we all meet, or you're going to go individually?
no, we would pick a date, and we're probably looking at, if it works for you, probably this Saturday, because we have a site walk in town this Saturday morning, so we just go from one to the other.
Sounds
Okay.
fine.
So we'll get to that. I don't know that I really want to just dive into everything, so.
Okay.
Any other members of the board have any other comments or questions? Okay. Go with whomever first.
Okay, do you want us to dive in or not dive in?
No, I just think, I think it would be helpful for the planning board members to see
Yeah.
the site and then have more context before really diving in here.
Okay, I mean, just basic housekeeping items. We have another set of unsigned applications and authorizations. Did you
I brought, you're talking about the signatures?
Yeah,
I brought in a full 7 sets of signed drawings and signed forms. And
Signature of record owner for the Town of Dover Planning Board form.
I didn't bring you that form signed?
I mean,
We're looking at it here. Or just,
the
I don't see
copy,
it signed here, so we're just going to
Yeah,
check.
I think what happened was I brought in a digital copy that was not signed. I brought in digital, hard
Hard
copies
copy that were signed. Okay,
I didn't scan those in.
I see.
That's the error, I think, here.
okay, it's not a
Okay.
fatal error, we're just.
we just want to make
Housekeeping,
sure,
like-
as you
Yeah,
see,
well,
sometimes we
it didn't occur to
an
me
issue.
No worries.
to scan in the hard copies. That was a mistake in hindsight, but anyway.
Okay.
And then the other issue is that we know that there are some open issues with the building.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not aware, that's the first I've heard of it. I thought I'd approached the building department before and didn't hear that there was a problem. I would love to know what they are, and then we can try and address those.
Okay.
So,
And just for the board, while Marilyn's going through the file, a use variance is they're generally very hard to get because it's allowing something that's not allowed, different than moving your porch over 2 feet in a direction. It's doing something that's not authorized by the zoning code. So the zoning board has very strict standards and guidelines, including they have to be able to show that there's that there's a hardship, and essentially that they had no knowledge of the zoning law. So it will be hard to meet those standards. But before the zoning board can even do that balancing test, they've asked the planning board to weigh in on the seeker. So there's no site plan requirement for this use because it's not a permitted use. But in order to undertake a secret review, we're going to treat it as if there is a site plan review. And
So if they were going to put the warehouse in the CO part of the property, then there would be site
Right,
plan.
then
Okay.
site plan would be triggered.
Right.
So we're going to follow the procedures for a site plan and get the information that would be required for a site plan in order to do that secret review.
All right, so do you have the document? It is signed.
Okay.
Yes?
Yep.
We all see it? Okay, so that's fine. We'll just get the signed one scanned in and then,
Yeah, you want me to return a scanned copy to you, I can do that.
that'd be good. Okay,
Actually, I think you have all my copies that are signed, so.
so,
It's fine. I just wanted to make sure that the owner had authorized the application.
So from what I understand from the zoning board, this is it's an isolated piece of property that has no access anywhere off the property. So it's sort of a, I think even in the zoning board's position, it's a missed zone. It's an inappropriate zoning, so I don't
Isn't
know
it
how.
a single piece of property, though?
Huh?
It's a single piece of property.
It's a single,
Grid number, the whole thing is one.
Right. So,
yeah, there's several examples in town where, because of geography and geology, there's different zones within
the same
the
lot.
same lot.
Sure.
This isn't the only example.
I'm suggesting there's no way to access that back half of the lot to make it part of the
Unless you go
hamlet.
for the front half of the lot.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah.
Understood.
And it's surrounded by a river and wetlands and, farmlands, and it's isolated
Yeah.
from the hamlet, so
There's a
it's-
lot, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Attorney Polidoro, anything else?
I mean, that's it for now.
Okay.
So this would fall under a major project, which requires site plan submission. So
Because it's a major project.
I think,
Well, sure, if it were permitted.
right,
Yeah.
but if if the CBA permits it, then.
Yeah, so I think the process is basically, we're gonna go through all this, and basically, I think at the end say, okay, if we're gonna give you approval, you'd have to go to the ZBA to get a use variance, and then
Yes.
if they give you the use variance, then you'd come back to us and say, okay, it's,
I
They're
got
fine.
it. I got the idea.
right.
I
okay.
understand
It's just,
why we're doing it as
right.
well.
The alternative is we could just say, we're not gonna consider this, go to the ZBA,
Yeah.
which is another way to go, but they just said, send it back to us, so
Uh-huh.
no one gets anywhere.
Yeah, big circle.
Our planner can continue.
So, okay, so there's a bunch of little things noted, but primarily just the site plan.
Any particular
sheet.
number we should go to here? 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, not just yet. Just the site plan itself is deficient. There needs to be a lot more to it, and all that's kind of listed out: erosion, sediment control, landscaping, limits of disturbance.
Okay, well, can I just, we're so isolated, I had no plans for any landscaping at all, so you want me to put a plan that says no landscaping? And-
Well, it kind of is just like what you're disturbing versus what what you're going to replant with after, everything.
Okay, when you get there, it's sort of a big dirt field right now, and it's gonna be anyway, you'll see, there's not
It's not
much.
going to be reseeded with grass or anything. So that's the thing. We didn't see if it was going to be gravel, if it was going to be reseeded.
Oh, all right, yes,
And that goes into
right. I
erosion
I think I
and
made a
sediment
note, it's a
control.
gravel driveway.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
think they're gonna.
Part of the
pave-
reason for the site walk, so we have a
Yeah,
better understanding.
Sure.
With boots on the ground.
Well, the landscape plan could be landscaping and grading plan, it can be both together.
Right, and it might not show much,
Yeah,
but just
it's
tell
Okay.
us what's
So
happening.
you add the landscaping to the grading plan and area, what are you gonna do with it? Seed, or are you gonna put stone down? or
okay.
You know, it might be that,
Piles of mud?
right,
Sure.
you have all this dirt or whatever's in the ground, and without grass, it may erode into the river. So,
Yes, okay.
please
So
continue.
the other thing to note is that in the HM district, there is
Mm-hmm.
a commercial building, it caps the commercial building square footage at 10,000 square feet.
Right.
But the planning board has the ability to allow up to 50,000 square feet, and they're proposing 30,000. And that is, 50,000 square feet in the HM zone, if they deem if you guys deem the use essential to the economic viability of the hamlet.
Okay. So we'd have to make a determination that it's essential to the economic viability of the hamlet.
Correct, to
Okay.
allow for a building of that size. Parking seems to not be an issue because there's not going to be many employees on site and ample parking, but just kind of delineating that more on the plan to show
Okay.
generally where you're thinking. We talked about the stream corridor overlay, just showing that buildings that don't have septic or anything, or connections to water are allowed within that, 150-foot buffer, up into the 100-foot buffer. So that's why this building is allowed,
Oh,
because there's no septic proposed.
nice. Correct, yes.
But you will have full-time employees there?
Well, there's toilet facilities on the other half of the property.
They're going to walk all the way over there?
I guess so. It's a warehouse. I don't know that there's anybody going to be.
One of those secret bathrooms that we see afterwards?
I'll review that with the owner again and come back to you. But as I understand it, no, they're going to have to walk or drive. I don't know, whatever.
Is it part of the same operation? It's
As I
intended,
understand it, yes.
and
yeah.
what is that operation now?
Well, it's a lumber yard over there, but I don't quite understand how his business model works, but it's a lumber yard, but it's not really open to the public, I don't think. It just sits there. I don't really.
It's interesting.
And
Okay.
I think that's one of the things that we highlighted, is we're gonna need more information in the narrative about that, because one of the things that the board has to look at is traffic, and without knowing who's coming and going,
Okay.
how many, that's just something that'll help them look at that.
Okay.
Right, because it could be that there's not that many employees, but there's a stream of trucks coming and going because of lumber.
Understood.
Does he mill lumber there?
I've been there to see the building. The last time I was there, it was basically not being used. So I have a hard time explaining it to myself as to what he's going to do with this 30,000 square foot building.
Right, so when you say it's not really being used, there's two existing large buildings on the
Yes,
site?
yes,
Okay. On the west side of the bridge?
correct.
Okay. Okay.
And we didn't have any approvals in the file for the existing use, right?
I think so. I'd have to look.
We
Okay.
don't have an approval for what's there?
Well, okay, we're gonna look some more, but
Yeah.
I don't believe there's any site plan for those.
right, so I don't know if those are,
AKF's memo says, in part, information from the building department on violations is expected to be shared. So was that?
So I guess, yeah, they should have looked at if the use was allowable when they were issuing violations then, right? The violations have nothing to do with the use.
Right.
So we heard from the building department that there were areas of land where truckloads of soil were dumped without an ESC permit, and then potentially that the litigation between the town and Mr. Casino was for the bridge that was built without a permit to access that back portion of the land.
Okay.
Don't have any further information than that.
Right.
Okay.
So it seems like we gotta just maybe do the site walk and get some more information.
Okay.
And Don Anderson, in the building department, he said to reach out to him and he'll go over
Okay.
everything with you and, try to work through whatever violations are still open on the property.
I think it
Okay.
would be helpful that we invite him to the site walk. I don't know if he's available, but.
yeah, I mean, I'd like at least some confirmation that the current use is approved if we're expanding it.
Right. Engineer Berger?
Yeah, as plans get developed more, but some of the highlights, if there's going to be no sewer or water in the building, if there's going to be full-time employees, we should at least have verification from the health department that the existing system on the other building has sufficient capacity for those additional employees, because they may or may not have been designed for additional flow. So either we have a new system for the building, or verification from the health department that there is an approved system on the west side that has capacity. No, on the floodway map, There's a floodway on the site, yet it's not shown on the plan, so that really needs to be shown.
Yeah, there's a flood line on there,
It's
but,
floodplain. Floodway is separate. You
Oh.
cannot build within a floodway. It's zero tolerance, a building within a floodway.
okay,
Floodway.
Yeah.
And that needs to be shown because it doesn't look like the building's near by my looking at it, but should be clear.
okay,
Now, also, within the floodway, zero tolerance against within the floodway, a building this size and encroachment will be well over the Chapter 65 half an acre, but more likely over the 1 acre state mandate, so you're gonna need a SWIP with the new stormwater regulations.
okay.
And I'm not sure the status of your wetlands, I'll defer to AKRF on that, but do they need to do a DEC jurisdictional at least
Yeah.
determination?
Yep. So
There's
that
a-
was,
There's new regulations that went into effect that notifying DEC about wetlands.
Okay,
And you have, there's no, unless you have a signed off map from the DEC with the wetland delineation that's been done, which I didn't see in the packet, and I'll defer to AKRF as wetland people, but I just wanted to bring that up. So
okay,
that- Because that's a 90-day waiting period, I didn't want you to lose that period of time.
all
By the
right,
time you file it, they have 90 days to respond to you, if there is or is not a DEC wetland. And we know there was at one time a wetland here. So, I don't know the status of where your wetland.
well, we have not even filed, so our 90 days hasn't even begun yet. So,
Well, I don't know, if you, you may or may not have, if you have a DEC wetland that's been flagged, delineated, and verified by DEC with the map that's current, that, I think that supersedes that 90-day,
For 5 years, yeah.
yeah, for 5 years, as long as it's not more than 5 years old, yes. So, but if you have that, that should be provided to be shown.
okay,
The rest is basically come up as you develop the plans for a site plan. Just want to bring those are big issues.
okay, thank you.
sorry, just go back real quick. I didn't go through the seeker. So this, because of the size of it, it's gonna need a full environmental assessment form, and only the short one was submitted. So if you could resubmit the long one, that'd be great. And then the wetlands were flagged as well, so those need to be delineated so we can ensure that you're not building in them. And then the property was also flagged as having the potential for timber rattlesnake and bog turtle. So if you could just provide an analysis that says how that habitat will or won't be disturbed. I know you said most of the site is already disturbed anyways, so if that's the case, then there probably isn't much impact to those species. And as long as you're staying out of wetlands areas and things of that nature, then that should be fine, but still addressing it. Traffic and noise, we talked about addressing that in the project narrative so that we can ensure that those won't be issues. And then, okay, that is everything from AKRF then. But I think we were recommending before seeker moves forward to
I'm trying to go back to the memo.
increase the escrow, but also to have them just talk to Don and work through the active violations on the site before we move forward with seeker.
You want me to talk to Don before you do a site visit? Or,
We have one scheduled for Saturday already. So
Yeah.
oh, okay, perfect, we're right around the corner,
And
perfect,
we'll try to get him to come. That way we can close the loop.
okay.
All right, so let's start with the increase in escrow. Motion to increase the escrow to $10,000. Motion made by
So moved.
Member Palmer, seconded by
Second.
Member Little Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of increasing the escrow for 42 Midfield Lane to $10,000, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, that motion passes 6-0 with one absence. Okay, so the site walk that we already have planned is for 8 a.m. down in Wayndale. I don't know that it's Saturday the 22nd. Yes.
That's right.
Right. So, I don't know that should really take more than 45 minutes.
Yeah, tops.
right? I mean, it's two parcels right next to each other on Dogtail Corners Road. So,
Straightforward.
I was thinking that we could set this site walk for 9 a.m.
Okay,
Okay. Let me just see something.
Which one do you have scheduled at 8?
Dogtail Corners. Just want to see if Google Maps gives some good directions. Yeah, so if you just put in the address, it'll take you right to it. You're going to be making a right just beyond the plaza that has the Berkshire Wine and Spirits.
Across from Anna's Restaurant.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And his family restaurant. Okay. 9 a.m. works for
It
you
does,
and whoever
absolutely.
else would be there.
I don't know who else will come. I don't-
Okay, so it works for you.
I'll ask.
Okay. All right, so motion to set the site walk for 42 Midfield Lane for Saturday, March 22nd at 9 a.m. Also to include an invitation to the building inspector. Motion made by
So moved.
Member Palmer, seconded by
Second.
Member Villano. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of site walk for 9 a.m. for this project, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Okay, that passes 6-0 with one absence. March 22nd, 9 a.m., we'll be driving over there. Anything further to this application at this time? All right. Thank you,
for
sir.
your service.
Yes, you have a good night.
Yeah.
Okay, our next meeting is Monday, April 7th. The deadline for that is this Wednesday at noon. Have we received anything
Nothing yet?
new or an update from anyone? Okay, so may or may not be a meeting. We just have to wait another 40 hours to find out. And then after that, we will have a meeting on Monday, April 21st, in part because we will have that public hearing we just set. The deadline for that is April 2nd. Okay. Any further business before the planning board? Seeing no further business, I'll make a motion to adjourn, seconded by
Second.
Member Roman. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.